Well, my name is Merriman, and my friend here is Derek May. And how long have you been associated with Jehovah's Witnesses, Derek?
Well, my father was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. He was one of the first in Ireland to become a witness. So I've been around Jehovah's Witnesses all my life, although I didn't become interested until about 5 years ago. And I'm baptised about 4 years now, I reckon. I'm associated still at the moment with the Dunleary congregation just on the outskirts of Dublin. And I'm just at the moving out of the congregation because of moving house, but I'm still in association with that congregation.
Right. And I've been associated with the Dublin congregations for 14 years. Liz and myself, that's my wife, and we've pioneered together. And I've been an elder for the past 7 years. I've held various positions in the congregation. I've been watchtower study conductor, school overseer, and at the assemblies I usually overseen the department handling the field service at the big assemblies, and at the circuit assemblies I was the literature overseer, and I've given various talks at the assemblies and so forth. Also, I've been asked on occasion to go out and help a congregation that perhaps needed a bit of help outside the Dublin area, and I done that and I enjoyed it, and for 13 and a half of those 14 years I've known nothing but happiness and joy as being one of Jehovah's Witnesses in Ireland. But then the September Watchtower, 15th Watchtower, came out in 1981, and it was the article dealing with disfellowshipping and disassociation.
You were a watchtower conductor at that time?
Yeah, that's right, I've been taking a watchtower. Now, when I seen that material on disassociation, as far as I was concerned, I couldn't see any scriptural basis for the points being made in it. Disfellowshipping, yes, I agree entirely with the idea of disfellowshipping. It's in the scriptures, and there's no problem with that. And I think it's nice if you have a group of people, you have cleanliness and so forth. But on this specific point of disassociation, no, and it bothered me. Now, it's always been my understanding that when you have the truth, you've absolutely nothing to fear, and you can question whatever needs to be questioned. So I done the best I could with this material in the September 15 Watchtower, but I just couldn't come to terms with it scripturally. I couldn't find a basis in scripture for it. So not too long after that Watchtower, I resigned from taking the Watchtower study.
Had you conducted it in the congregation? That particular
I did
article?
actually conduct the material, and that in itself affected me.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke with a number of the other fellow elders about it, and like they couldn't come up with the scriptural basis either for disassociation. Now, things went fairly quiet. I still remained an elder, but I just didn't take the Watchtower study. And then around March, I seen the Time article on RaymondFranz. I actually seen it at the end of February, beginning of March, and I read the article dealing with RaymondFranz being disfellowshipped for having a single meal with a disassociated man. Now, I just couldn't believe that. That was unthinkable, that a man could devote 40 years of his life and be kicked out for having a meal with a disassociated person. So I didn't believe it. So when the brothers in the congregation started coming to me about it, concerned about, hey Martin, did you see the article on RaymondFranz? You know, ex-member of the governing body disfellowshipped for having a meal with a disassociated person. I said, I don't believe it. But the truth of the matter was that the interview with RaymondFranz was a fairly nice interview as they go. It wasn't antagonistic, it didn't attack the organisation, and with the result I felt I had to check it out a bit more. Excuse me, a bit more. That's the 7-Up I've been drinking. So next of all, I phoned up Ann Constable, one of the writers of the article in New York, and the other chap, I've forgotten his name at the moment. but if you get the Time article, you'll see both the names. So I phoned Ann Constable up in New York. I told her that I felt her magazine had a cheek printing a biased article like that against their organisation, and I honestly felt that way. I felt the organisation was wonderful, it was marvellous, all the great work it had done, and I just wanted this straightened out. So she said to me, well, I can understand you being upset. She said, quite a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses have been phoning into the Time offices here, and I'm telling you, Mr. Merriman, what I told the other people, the other Jehovah's Witnesses who phoned up, to speak to your governing body. So I said, why didn't you speak to our governing body? She said, I went to speak to them, but they had no comment. Well, that didn't sit right with me. That, we could have answered, surely we could have answered this claim that a man was disfellowshipped for having a single meal. It wouldn't have hurt. So there and then my friend and I, John May, that's Derek's older brother, and he's been associated for 15 years and an elder in the same body of elders as myself, and he's a very well respected brother in Ireland, and both of us decided there and then that we had to find out, get to the bottom of this. So 2 elders in good standing, we flew to New York.
Wasn't he pioneering also?
Oh, John was a regular pioneer,
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
For about 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years. He's written many articles in defence of Jehovah's Witnesses. I forgot to mention, actually, John and I dealt with the Department of Justice to gain entry into the prisons to have Bible studies with people who were interested with Jehovah's Witnesses. We've been dealing for 10 years with the government to try and get a piece of ground to build a Kingdom Hall for Jehovah's Witnesses. I myself went to the Secretary for Education in the Republic of Ireland, because in the schools there they teach the Catholic religion, and I got an undertaking from them that my children wouldn't be taught religion and they could be excused from the classroom, and that's precisely what happened. So we weren't taking it lying down, this religion of ours. We believed it was the truth, and we were going to do something about it. So that's why we felt so disturbed about this material. John felt the same way over the September 15 watch too. So we flew to New York in March, and we then flew down to Gadsden, Alabama. We spent 5 days and nights with RaymondFranz and Peter Gregerson. I questioned them, and so did John, very closely about this whole affair. And I got a copy of the correspondence between RaymondFranz and the Judicial Committee in Gadsden, Alabama, with the brothers' names on it: Theotis French, Edgar Bryant, and it was initially Dan Gregerson, but as he had a personal kind of contact with the case, he was replaced by Larry Johnson. So we had all the documents, we read them over, we looked at the material, and we said, right, there are questions to be answered, we would like them answered. So naturally, where would you go to find the answer? You'd go to your governing body. And we had full confidence, absolutely no doubt in our minds, that the governing body would meet with us and straighten this whole affair out. No question. So we flew from Alabama to California, and from California to Texas, and then up to Brooklyn, New York. We were staying with brothers all the while, and we'd a nice visit with those brothers, and we had some very good conversations about the matter in Alabama. But from what we could detect, the brothers had misunderstood the whole situation. They were talking about RaymondFranz being disfellowshipped for apostasy, which he wasn't. He was disfellowshipped for having a single meal with a disassociated man. And the rumour was going around that Peter Gregerson went off for a cute little blonde, and some of the circuit overseers were spreading this rumour about, as we discovered in California and in Texas. So let me set the record absolutely straight. I stayed in Peter Gregerson's home with his wife Janet. They've 7 children. They're a lovely couple. There's absolutely no truth in the rumour that he went off at anybody. But anyhow, we phoned up Jack Barr, a member of the governing body. Now the reason we phoned up Jack Barr was that his wife Mildred, lo and behold, she was the very one that contacted John May's father in Dublin, Ireland. She was a missionary there at one time and helped him into the truth. So We spoke to Jack on the phone, Jack Barr on the phone. As I said, he was a member of the governing body. And we said immediately, Jack, we've been down in Gadsden, Alabama. We spent 5 days and nights with RaymondFranz and Peter Gregerson. And we want to talk to our governing body because we're disturbed. We have some questions that we wish to have answered. So his reply was, you were where? So we told him where we were. And he said, do you think that was wise? So John, his brother, said to him, John May said to him, well, Jack, it may not be wise organisationally, but we're lovers of truth. And the truth is what's important. And what we'd like you to do is to present our petition, if you like, to the governing body that we want to meet with them. And he said, well, he wouldn't do that. He didn't feel he could do that. So we asked him, well, look, if we phone another member of the governing body, namely Lyman Swingle, he was the chairman of the governing body for that year, would you meet with us then? If he proposed it, would you back him up? He said he would. He said, I'm having breakfast with Lyman Swingle in the morning, I'll tell him you phoned, and then you can phone him up yourself. So we said, great, Jack. So the next morning we phoned up Lyman Swingle. John got on the phone to him. So he said to him, Brother Swingle, I'm John May. And Brother Swingle said to him, I know who you are. He said, you're the fella who spent 5 days and nights with a disassociated and disfellowship man in Gadsden, Alabama. And John said, that's right. So Brother Swingle said, you know, do you think you're a knight in shining armour travelling across the galaxy, or words to that? I'm not sure what he used the word galaxy. Hemisphere, I think, was the word he used. To right the wrongs, a knight in shining armour. John said no, he didn't consider himself to be that, but that he did have serious questions that he would like answered. So Brother Swingle said, you know, we're not going to meet with you. So John asked him to phone up the branch in Dublin. Phone Arthur Matthews, Fred Metcalf or Peter Andrews. They're the branch committee in Dublin. Find out the kind of men we are. You'll find that we're not here to make trouble. We're here because we want sincere, honest discussion with you and need some questions to be answered so we can help the brothers and sisters back home. So he said no. So that went on for 15 minutes or so. So next I get on the phone and I introduced myself to Brother Swingle, and I told him that I also wanted to meet with him. And he said, no, we're not meeting with you. So I said, I can't believe that you're saying you won't meet with us. I said, if I go home and tell my brothers and sisters back in Ireland that you won't meet with us, that the governing body won't meet with us, I said, they'll call me a liar. I said to him, we go out on the doors in Ireland bragging about how we're not like the Catholic Church. If you wanted to see the bishop or someone like that, you couldn't get in to see him. But we can go to our governing body if we ever have a problem. And now you're telling me you won't meet with us. He said there is no precedent for meeting with you. So I said, well, Brother Swingle, may I respectfully bring to your attention what it says in Acts chapter 15. That Paul and Barnabas went up to Jerusalem to meet with the governing body. So he said, oh, so you think you're Paul and Barnabas now? And I was deeply hurt and shocked when he said that to me, because I didn't expect... I mean, the brothers at home wouldn't say that to me. An ordinary elder in the congregation would never say that to you. Is that a fact there?
No, that's incredible. What, you know, the brothers at home were shocked when we told them this.
Yeah, they really were. So, and anyhow, he said, put it in writing.